Tonight on the docket, Ben Bernanke, the economy, your money, and debt. Today, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke testified in front of the House Financial Services Committee on the state of the weak economy, the massive federal debt, and the rapid declining value of the dollar. These issues are intimately related because as the federal government spends money it does not have, it has to borrow and borrow and borrow more money to pay its bills. But when the government borrows, Mr. Bernanke and the Fed lend a helping hand because the Fed can create money out of thin air. And this lowers the value of all dollars, which makes it much easier for the government to keep borrowing even more. But there is a cost. The dollars you hold in your bank account, the dollars you work hard for and save, the dollars you use to buy food and gasoline lose value every time Uncle Ben has the Fed create money. That's called inflation. Under Uncle Ben's watch, food prices have gone up by almost 15%, and gasoline prices have jumped more than 30%. See, America, you pay for a wasteful government spending not only in tax dollars, but at the grocery store and the gas station as well. So what's going on with the value of the dollar? Here now to explain, one of the staunchest defenders of the Constitution in the Congress and one of the few who truly understands the menace of the Federal Reserve and the author of the bestseller, End the Fed, Texas Republican Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman Paul, welcome back to Freedom Watch. Were you surprised at anything that Ben Bernanke said today under oath as you interrogated him?
No, but did he say anything? He didn't say anything, so I'm not surprised. When I asked him about what the definition of a dollar is, he said it's whatever it buys, because he manages the dollar, he runs the economy, he's a central economic planner, and they have no idea what a dollar is, and I think it's on purpose. But like you said in your introduction, the Congress spends the money and the Fed provides the funds. So it's a relationship that's been around for a long time, and the Congress sort of knows what's going on. That's why I would say don't let the Fed ever monetize our debt. Don't let them buy the debt. Interest rates would go up and the Congress would have to quit spending. You wouldn't have, the Fed is always telling the Congress quit spending the money, but there's more to it than just that.
Didn't he complain that he's worried about interest rates going up? And isn't that what he should rejoice in rather than worry about?
Well, he doesn't want interest rates to go up. He just wants the inflation to go up so that the real debt goes down. So when he talked about inflation, he says, well, I know what to do if we have too much inflation or too little. Can you imagine that the deliberate policy of a government is to have like 2.5% inflation or destruction of the value of the currency? It's still theft. It's ruining the economy. It causes a malinvestment. But that's a deliberate policy. He's annoyed that he hasn't generated more inflation. He prints the money, but the people aren't using the money fast enough. But now it's starting to happen. Now we're moving into a different era. And these last couple of months, I'll tell you, I think the indication is very strong that the price inflation is coming, but he says no, it's still at 2%. But he doesn't count energy and food, exclude that, and therefore the people are okay because his measurement is only 2%. But the free market, shadow stats with free market economists, they're reporting that the CPI, the old CPI, is going up at the rate of 9% right now. It's probably actually even worse than that.
So because he's pumping cash into the marketplace, into the monetary money supply, because he's creating this cash and prices are going up, he's willing to look at prices of things that are not going up rather than things as basic as food and energy, which every human needs in this country. He's telling you to look elsewhere instead of at the basics.
Yeah, and he's not alone. It's been done for a long time. They're there to, and evidently the markets like it. If Bernanke or a Federal Reserve Board chairman saying, well, they might not even believe it, but they say, oh, he's saying it, so therefore the reaction is going to be such and such. But Bernanke or any chairman is incapable of telling the truth because he has to know the problems ahead. And just look at how many times did he deny there was a bubble. I mean, I don't believe that he was unaware of it, but he couldn't say it. What if in 2007 he said, there's a big bubble out there and it's going to burst? I mean, it would have been a calamity. So he's paid to, in a way, deceive the marketplace and deceive the people into thinking that things are much better than they really are. But the goal of others should be to tell the truth and let the American people know what's really going on.
One of the few people who saw that bubble is the person to whom I'm now speaking. But I want to switch gears a little bit, because while you were interrogating Fed Chair Bernanke on the House side, Senator John Kerry on the Senate side said the following. We're going to play it for you about Libya and a no-fly zone and the American military getting involved in an effort to oust Colonel Gaddafi. Take a listen.
Wow.
That the global community cannot be on the sidelines while airplanes are allowed to bomb and strafe. A no-fly zone is not a long-term proposition, assuming the outcome is what all desire, and I believe we ought to be ready to implement it as necessary.
Do you think that the American government is preparing to get involved militarily in this revolution in Libya? And if they are, haven't they learned, for heaven's sakes, the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan and the lessons of Egypt and Tunisia, where we at least ostensibly were not involved?
No, they haven't learned. Yesterday on the International Relations Committee, Secretary Clinton was there, and I asked her precisely that, because she said in her statement, no options are off the table. All options are on the table, whatever. And I even brought this up in context of what the previous administration said when they would be asked about all options, and even nuclear action was never taken off the table. I threw that out, and she did not deny it one bit. Yes, they're getting ready to use military power. It'll be for humanitarian reasons, of course. And there's been some people who got killed there in the violence. But how many innocent people have been killed in Afghanistan and Iraq at the hands of our military? Right. And we're flat out broke. We don't have more troops. And I was just told today that some of the Marines were sent from the States already, toward Libya. So yes, we're getting ready to. They have no sense whatsoever. We're bombing in Pakistan. We're involved in Yemen and Somalia. We're not successful in Iraq or Afghanistan as far as I'm concerned. And here we are, we're going to take on Libya. It will end when this country goes bankrupt, and we're fast approaching that point.
Last question. Do the people in Iraq and Afghanistan have the same right to overthrow the American-installed governments as the people in Egypt and Tunisia did last month?
Well, obviously not, because they were demonstrating and they were arrested by the government that we own. So, yes, there were 300 arrested by the Maliki government in Iraq because they were demonstrating. So I would say that our success at providing a free society for Iraq is a total failure, and that they do not have freedom. There's less freedom of religion there. The Christians have all been run out. Even under that horrible dictator Saddam Hussein, he was more tolerant of Christianity than the current government is in Iraq. So to me, it's a total failure. When you think of the cost in life and limb and money, it's just ridiculous. And here it is. They won't even pause. They're getting ready to go to Libya in order to prove that we're good people and that we know how to police the world and take care of everybody and make sure Libya comes out okay. And we're doing the same thing in Egypt as well. We're working behind the scenes. It's just not as violent. But we're there. We're involved with their military. We're ready to prop up the next dictator and send out another $70 billion to prop them up as well.
Thank you. Congressman Paul, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Members of Congress search